What I'd like to talk about for a few minutes is that not only have we created a brand name that communicates who we are better, not only has there been a resource, as Brandon shared, that's been created, that's been ready and used, but I'd like to share a little bit about how people have been participating and actually engaging in this around the world, and to share a couple different partnerships. Last year, Equip pursued partnerships and coaching relationships with church and organizational leaders on 5 different continents. And so we want to share a little bit about, here's a copy of this Discipleship Refrain, how this resource has been used as our second training experience after the Kingdom Story, how it's been challenging and transforming church leaders around the world. So we're going to start where Brandon started with the Foursquare Church. As Brandon mentioned, God has used Gary Matzdorf as their global education coordinator to open up doors for us and new opportunities. And access to a large denomination, right, has made our capacity to actually have what we would call a scaling opportunity is really for the first time. I mean, if you were selling potatoes, would you rather get the McDonald's account or the Lefties down here the street? You get the idea. And so it turns out that Europe, this denominational network of their 16 different regional areas, the second area interested in our experience was Europe. And so I did a 2-day immersion there with national leaders in Italy. They came from 8 different countries. And after that 2-day immersion, we launched our first European Foursquare Discipleship Refrain cohort. A year later, we graduated our first class there in Europe from 5 churches and 14 church leaders from Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And along the way, Equip, we engaged new friendships, new potential partners in our global effort around disciple making. So let me share a few words from Sonia Hammerman. Sonia is a national leader in the Foursquare Germany, but she's also an assistant pastor at the Concordia Church down there in Bühl. I hope I'm saying that right, in Bühl, Southwest Germany. The call of Jesus to discipleship has not changed, but cultural, community, and global changes are rapid and upon us all. Aware of our world's crises and the church's pressing need for disciple making, our church joined the year-long Europe cohort journey. Building a framework for evaluating and realigning our discipleship activities was hard, but also very profitable. And being on this road together as a team and with John's coaching support brought us further insight and inspiration. It's becoming increasingly clear to us about what helps and doesn't help our people become more and more like Jesus. Well, last November, Sonia invited me to be the plenary speaker at the Germany National Foursquare Conference. And I was asked to share an overview of some of the key teachings of the Discipleship Reframed. One of them was the 2-lane highway, which Brandon highlighted earlier. One of the enthusiastic responders to both the cohort as well as to the November conference was Johannes Dappen. He's the head pastor at that Concordia church. And Johannes and I have agreed that we're going to work on 2 things in a coaching relationship in the year ahead. One is I want to help him explore what it would look like for his team to begin to integrate the Discipleship Refrain material into their church, phase 2 of what Brandon was talking about. But secondly, I want to explore with him if he might be the person who would be willing to take the mantle of trainer and facilitator of this process in Germany, in the Foursquare Church, and perhaps beyond. Secondly, I want to talk a moment about a couple of opportunities for Equip outside of the Foursquare denomination. 2 leaders that were already involved in paradigm-shifting work. They saw the potential of Equip's resources for leveraging groundbreaking work in their network. So the first leader was my long-term friend and PLU alumni, Brian Brenchley. For over 20 years, he and his wife, Lily, have been doing groundbreaking work, catalyzing a radical movement of reconciliation in the violent, saturated Balkans. Last fall, for example, 450 people from all the Balkan countries and beyond gathered in one place in Croatia for a 3-day conference. And they've called this the Balkan Call. Now, amidst the meals like this around tables, worship times, there were several sessions set aside for leaders of multiple countries in the Balkans to come to those in Croatia and offer prayers of confession and asking for forgiveness for the way their countries have treated Croatia over the years. Powerful, paradigm-shifting experiences. And Brian believes that when you challenge a church leaders to break down a particular paradigm, that it makes it easier perhaps than to introduce another paradigm shift. The ground is already toiled and already ripe for something new, like discipleship. And so let's listen in as Brian and Dardian, who is our up-and-coming Macedonian and Balkan equip representative, let them tell their story about what's happening and what's coming up.
Hello, my name is Brian. I'm a Christian businessman that moved to the Balkans, Eastern Europe, North Macedonia over 20 years ago. And as soon as I arrived here, a war broke out, fighting, killing, and division and unforgiveness. And I said, Lord, why did you bring me here? What is it going to take to see breakthrough and transformation? And the Lord told me the key to breakthrough is prayer. And through prayer, he showed me that the church was hurting, was divided, was unforgiving. And so the Lord began pouring that out through a ministry of prayer and reconciliation. And we've seen tremendous healing coming to the church. And the Lord said, aren't you praying for revival as well? I said, yes. He said, well, where are the people going to be discipled? And as I talked to local pastors and leaders, they recognized they had not been well prepared to make disciples in their local church. And John Lewis from Tacoma, went to college with him, had been talking over many years and seeing Kingdom Story and Discipleship Reframed expanding to many other nations. And it just kind of hit us, why not North Macedonia and the Balkans? Why not now? And so John came over. We were able to meet with about 60 leaders, and they came and had an experience of discipleship, and it really awakened them. And they said, we want to go farther. We want to learn more. So at the same time, the Lord had been awakening a brother of ours, Dardian, who has lived here for many years, and he wanted to be involved in helping to make disciples in the local church. So the three of us joined together last year, and we're just seeing more and more leaders, both pastors, marketplace people, respond to this invitation to go deeper into discipleship.
My name is Dardan. I'm originally from Albania, and I've been a missionary to Macedonia for over 12 years, primarily trying to reach the Muslims in the country to our church plants and partnering with the national church. I'm excited to partner with Discipleship Reframed and with John to bring more of discipleship and the culture of discipleship in the Balkans. After John had the training in May last year, I followed up with some of those pastors and leaders and other key leaders in the country, and I organized a 2-day training in November where we had over 20 pastors and leaders join. We really saw the unity of God and a conviction and impact in their hearts and need to make some things differently and update the operating system on how we do things toward discipleship and in our churches. From those trainings in Macedonia and in Kosovo, we saw 15 pastors and leaders emerge, and we started a cohort of a 1-year commitment that we'll be meeting in Zoom and in person with John and me and investing in their lives. At the same time, this summer, we'll introduce the same materials and trainings to a large pastors and leaders in Albania, my home country. In this time, John will be investing in my life as he'll be mentoring me to take more and more responsibility in the leading, training, and the leadership in this initiative in the region. Our heart and vision is, for the next 5 years, to see more than 150 disciple makers in over 35 churches in 5 countries in this region, and go beyond that in the following years. Thank you so much for your interest in this troubled and beloved part of the world.
Well, friends, I had a chance last year to travel to Macedonia twice, and in all my travels, I can say that as much as any of my trips, this is a move of God that's happening over there. And now we're in the process, Rob and Dardian, Brian and I, in putting together a proposal that will reach towards what Dardian was sharing, that we would start in Macedonia and Kosovo and then extend our work and training into 3 or 5 or 6 other countries over the next 5 years. That's the journey that we're on. And this is possible because this God raised up, at the same time we came there the first time, God raised up Dardian out of the blue, feeling called to come alongside. He wants to go from observer to participant to trainer to eventually the Balkan representative for this training in the entire region. And I'm so excited to be with him on that journey. Thank you.
So not only are we working around the world, but for the first time since 2021, we were finally able to get another group of local pastors together to immerse themselves in the discipleship refrain. This came out of several meetings that Equip had with a gentleman named Lonnie Arnold. Lonnie oversees the Racial Reconciliation Network. It's a diverse group of area pastors and organizational leaders committed to modeling a Jesus way forward. In these conversations, we agreed on how weaving the 3 streams of reconciliation, discipleship, and prayer together could leverage and multiply restoration and revival here in Pierce County. So we gathered a core of churches out of this particular network and other contacts that we had to launch our 2024 Pierce County Discipleship Reframed cohort. We met together for 2 full days in January to walk with 20 pastors and leaders from 8 different churches. We had a diverse room with leaders from diverse denominational and ethnic backgrounds. It was an incredible time of discovery, honesty, hard work, and collaboration from all these eager and diverse leaders. During the immersion, a pastor who is coming to retirement and passing his church to the next generation came to a startling realization. After sitting through our 2-day immersion, he concluded that after 27 years of pastoring, he realized he had overlooked the primary purpose of God's church. Sure, he was preaching fire, and people loved him, but he wasn't making disciples. Many others also confessed that they were doing church the way it has always been done, but could see that their church did not have a discipleship culture. It was a holy time of disorientation and reorientation. And with this group, we are endeavoring to start with about 4 of those churches and 15 pastors and church leaders, where through a cohort and coaching, we will help each church integrate this material into their lead team, that phase 1 that I talked about earlier. It is an incredible adventure to be working so close to home and helping to empower pastors to build cultures of discipleship that liberate them from their church's old operating system.
We just wrapped up the Discipleship Reframed, and one of the takeaways that I personally have is that there were so many people gathered, talking through discipleship. So many churches are represented, so many people from different areas are represented. There were these moments where I was truly struck that people really cared about the next generation. You can hear it in their voices. They were passionate about their people. And as I work with young adults, I think the Discipleship Reframe is a really incredible tool to be able to capture the young people that are in our churches. And I think that if we continue to look to the next generation, they want people to be in their transition of life. They want people to walk alongside of them. And Discipleship Reframe is one of the best tools to be able to walk alongside with them.
Very excited to be there, and I had a chance to bring out our deacons as well. So pretty much our whole leadership team came to this conference. One of the things that really stood out the most to me is when Brandon asked the question. He said, if I go to your church, can I tell what your discipleship framework is? And as soon as he said that, it triggered something in my mind that everyone in the church should be able to understand and communicate what the discipleship framework is within the whole entire church. So I thought to myself, if Jesus were to send like quality and control inspector out to your church to see how you're doing, and he started asking members of your church, like, what is the discipleship culture? Like, what is the process for onboarding and discipleship? Like, who does discipleship? All these kind of things. And you would get like multiple different answers that don't really align. That would show that you have a hole and a place for opportunity we have been also giving the skill set and the talents in the body of Christ to be intentional about these spaces. And I think really what we had a chance to go through in the last 2 days really helped us provide some context around that.